Welcome to Real Shame. It's a twice, sometimes more a week show where we talk about movies from our movie list of shame or movie blind spots. I'm Adam.
I'm Andy.
Earlier in the week, we talked about... What did we talk about? We talked about Serpico. I was going to say Scarface. I don't know why. We talked about Serpico. But we're following that up with another movie that has Al Pacino in it, and this movie is going to be...
The Insider.
Let's get into The Insider.
Yeah, I want to talk to you.
Good, I want to talk to you. This is
I
my
did
house.
not
In front of my
tell
wife,
you
my kids.
I did not give you up to anyone.
What
I'm here
business do we have?
To straighten something out with you. Right here, right now.
You didn't mention my name. You haven't talked to anybody about me.
What am I gonna mention
Why
your
Brown
name
and
about?
Williamson? No, I spoke
How the
to you.
hell do I know about Brown?
It happened just after I talked to you.
I don't know.
I
What
do
are you
not
mad?
like coincidence.
Well, I don't like paranoid accusations. I'm a journalist. Think. Use your head. How do I operate as a journalist? By screwing the people who could provide me with information before they provided me with it.
You came all the way down here to tell me that?
No, I did not. Big tobacco is a big story, and you got something important to say, I can tell. But yes, I did. I came all the way down here to tell you. Story, no story. Fuck your story. I don't burn people.
Alrighty. So Jeffrey Wigand was Vice President of Research and Development for Brown and Williamson, which was a tobacco company in Louisville, Kentucky. He worked there from 1989 until he was terminated in 1993. After his employment ends, he is approached by Lowell Bergman, who is a producer for the television show 60 Minutes, to consult on and elucidate some technical documents for Lowell. But he refuses to disclose anything that's not related to the documents themselves, citing a confidentiality agreement he has with Brown and Williamson. Bergman quickly realizes that Wigand has a story to tell about deception within Big Tobacco and tries to convince him to tell his story to the American public. With threats against his family, a disintegrating marriage, and legal action and jail time threatened against him, Jeffrey Wigand must decide whether or not to come forward in Michael Mann's The Insider. Okay. The Insider was directed by, again, Michael Mann, came out in 1999. The screenplay was written by Michael Mann and Eric Roth, and it was all based on a Vanity Fair article that came out called The Man Who Knew Too Much. Hitchcock, call your lawyer. It stars Al Pacino as Lowell Bergman and Russell Crowe as Jeffrey Wigand. Christopher Plummer is also in it. He plays Mike Wallace. It has Philip Baker Hall, bunch of other people. Diane Venora plays Russell Crowe's wife. He played Al Pacino's wife in Heat, which was also Michael Mann 4 years before this. Small parts for Gina Gershon, Rip Torn, Bruce McGill, Colfior. Even Breckin Meyer is one of Al Pacino's sons who you see for maybe 5 seconds.
Let's not forget Stephen Tobolowsky.
Stephen Tobolowsky is in it. Jeffrey Wigand's kids are played by the Pepsi Girl and Renee Olstead. Yeah. If you care about that. So this is a movie that I have seen before and you also have seen. Is that correct?
Yeah, I didn't remember if I have seen it or not, but about 5 minutes into the movie, I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen this. Yeah.
So
because I think I saw it around the same time I watched Michael Clayton, like of those kind of ilk of that kind of.
Okay.
Like I was watching movies of that kind of ilk, and so I think this was on that kind of list of movies I watched at that time.
So you've seen it more recently than me, because I think the only time I've ever seen this movie is when it actually came out in theaters in 1999. What did you think about it the other time you saw it, and what did you think about it this time you saw it?
I thought it was good. I mean, I really like this movie.
Yeah.
I do have a couple of issues with the movie, but overall, I think this movie is really good. It's really captivating, and I overall enjoyed it. Some of my issues is I do feel like it's a little long, and in the fact that I think it feels like it has multiple endings. Like it feels like it's going to wrap up multiple times and then it just keeps on going. Mm-hmm. And I think because Jeffrey Wigand's role kind of ends a little bit whenever they actually air the article. And so that feels like it's a wrapped up moment, and it's like, okay, we did all this work, but it's not going to get any far. But then we kind of shift gears over to Al Pacino, and then we're kind of running with him a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. And I guess this movie could be more Al Pacino's movie because we kind of start the movie with Al Pacino when he's interviewing the guy in the Middle East. I forgot what he would be called. His role or whatever.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Me neither.
Sorry.
Or me too.
Not educated culturally, guys. Sorry about that. And it kind of ends with him, and you kind of have him. but it does feel like it's mostly Russell Crowe's movie because for that large portion of the movie, we are mostly focused, I feel like, on Russell Crowe, and everything's really feels like it's more from Russell Crowe's point of view than it really is from Al Pacino's, in my opinion, which is why when it shifts gears back to Al Pacino in the ending, it just feels like, okay, now it's going to end. Oh, no, wait, no. Now it's going to end. No, wait, no, we got more. And it just felt like for the last 30 minutes, it just felt like it just kept on, like, chugging along. You know what I mean?
I agree with almost everything you said, honestly. I actually do feel... I feel this is more Al Pacino's movie, honestly. And I didn't feel that way when I saw it in 1999. Yeah. So when I saw it in 1999, I really loved this film. And I championed it to anybody that would listen. I was like, you got to see The Insider. You got to see The Insider. And they'd be like, please get out of this bathroom stall. It's already occupied.
Is anyone in there?
Sorry about that.
You got to see The Insider.
But no, seriously, I did. I told everybody, I was like, oh, The Insider is so great. It's so great. I have definitely cooled on the movie. I still like it. I still think it's a good movie. I still think it's very watchable, and it's very, like you said, kind of captivating and kind of what they had to go through in order to get this segment aired.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like,
it's some really interesting stuff.
Yeah, the whole going to, like, the idea that we're going to go and we're going to have them say it, like, in a disposition.
Deposition.
Yeah, that's the word. Awesome. Like,
it's very intelligent.
That's super intelligent. Like, that's kind of the reason why we like watching movies like this.
Yeah.
Is for that, like, that awe moment that, oh man, this is how it's gonna happen. Like that was Yeah.
So what he's referring to is in the film and in real life, because he had a confidentiality agreement, he could not say anything about Brown and Williamson that he worked for. So to circumvent that, they have him participate and give a deposition in a lawsuit that the state of Mississippi.
I think it was Mississippi.
Yeah, Mississippi, because he's in Kentucky. Mississippi has got a lawsuit against Big Tobacco, against the tobacco industry. They get him to come over and give a deposition for that. So that kind of gets him out of the confidentiality agreement because now it's public record or whatever. However, they issue a gag order and say, okay, yeah, you can go ahead. They can't get it to stick in Mississippi, so he can go ahead and go to Mississippi and testify. Yeah. But once he goes back to Kentucky, he could face jail time. He could be arrested for violating the gag order because it is valid in Kentucky, just not valid in Mississippi. But there's a lot of cool little machinations, behind the scenes kind of things that go on.
It almost plays like a heist film, I feel like, a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I think like it draws a lot from like Heat and stuff like that, where it feels like, you know, we're seeing a plan come into place and like all these intelligent characters. Like it does play to me like a lot of like a heist movie.
Yeah, I could see that. But no, I agree with you. When I saw it back in '99, I was thinking this is Russell Crowe's film, or you know, maybe I didn't explicitly think that to myself, but that's kind of how I felt. When I watched it this time, I felt like it was very much kind of Al Pacino's movie, because as you said, after a time, once they kind of air the segment, or at least air the segment that doesn't feature Jeffrey Wigand, but they air a censored kind of segment, the movie kind of drops him. It does go back to him, I think, periodically, and he has that weird vision in the hotel room, which is completely out of place.
I thought he was gonna. If he killed himself, it would have been interesting. But since he didn't kill himself, spoiler for an old movie. Since he didn't do it, it was just like, why? Why are we showing this?
That was so weird.
It was Kagamusha.
Yeah, it was yeah.
But it wasn't even as good as Kagamusha.
That's what it looked like. It looked like the dream that he has in Kagamusha. But yeah, that was very strange, and I totally agree with you. I think once they kind of drop him from the story, but then it shifts gears, I did find the rest of it interesting, because the rest of the movie is how they finally are able to air the segment with Jeffrey Wigand's interview in it, because they had to censor it before, and you know, they had to go to the New York Times or leak to the New York Times what the story was, and the Wall Street Journal was going to publish an expose on Jeffrey Wigand and smear him and all this. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes there, which is cool, but it feels like a different movie, or like you said, a different ending or a multiple ending, something like that. I couldn't agree more on that sort of thing. Another thing that I wasn't as crazy about with this movie this go round is some of the cinematography. I got a little annoyed with, honestly. I know that's Michael Mann's kind of style, but I think I've seen it enough now. I hadn't seen it as much in '99. I won't say I hated every bit of it, because that's not true. But some of the stuff I was like, I don't like that shot. That's weird. Keep that camera still. Stop doing that. You know, that I would. see that every now and then, and I would get a little irritated with it, but not enough to make me like say, "Oh, this movie sucks" or anything.
That didn't stand out to me at all. I think because I think Michael Mann tries to shoot like very naturalistic, like he wants to have a bunch of like natural lights and stuff like that. Like when I'm thinking like collateral and heat and stuff like that, but I can definitely see what you're saying, but it didn't really stick out that much to me when I was watching.
And also, this movie, as you said, is quite long.
Yeah,
it does go on a bit, and I mean, like we mentioned, we both like Heat. Heat's too long. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It is. There's some stuff in Heat that doesn't need to be there. Just like I feel like there's some stuff in this movie that doesn't need to be there.
Collateral, also too long.
Yeah.
Good movie.
I mean,
I do wish Wigand's wife played a smaller role. I found her more shrewd and annoying, and they didn't spend a lot of time fleshing her out, so she just comes off as like this, like shrewd lady that's just kind of preventing the protagonist from doing what he needs to do and stuff like that. And I just wish they kind of put her more on the back burner. I don't think she really added very much to the movie,
Yeah, she definitely drew the short straw with this movie. Like, she doesn't have a lot to do other than just be pouty and upset with him and then ultimately leave. So, yeah, she doesn't have a lot to do, unfortunately.
But, yeah, I mean, I think this is just... I enjoy seeing it. I enjoy revisiting it a second time, and I'm going to be you now. I'm going to sing this movie's praises and be like, you got to see The Insider if you haven't seen it, because I do think it's a worthwhile story. It's a worthwhile film to watch, going into it and stuff, for sure.
Yeah. Like I said, I like it. I didn't get as much out of it this time, but I agree with you. I think it's a movie well worth seeing, especially if you've never seen it.
Yeah.
Am I going to watch it again anytime soon? Probably not, just because I've had my fill of it for another 20 years, probably. But it's good. Again, that's not. I'm not decrying it at all. I'm not saying it's a crap movie. I think it's a very good movie. But I'm not quite as crazy about it as I was in 1999. But I still think it's very worthwhile. Some good performances. Christopher Plummer's great as always.
Yeah, I like Christopher. I think it was Sheik was who he's talking to at the beginning. Maybe.
Yeah. I think you're right.
If I'm wrong, I'm sorry.
right.
Again, not very culturally educated, but he talks about he's trying to get that interview going and stuff like that. And Christopher Plummer's like, as Mike Wall's putting that guy in his place, and he's like, I'm a 70-year-old man. Do you think I'm gonna karate him to death? And I go, I want to see that movie. So Christopher Plummer, I think you need to be the next Taken star. Step aside, Liam Neeson. I want to see you at your ripe old age karateing someone to death. Please make that happen, because I thought that was a great idea.
I'd pay to see that movie too.
Yeah, it's awesome.
All right, so in the movie and as in real life, Jeffrey Wigand still alive. This all happened in the early 90s or early mid 90s, and the movie, of course, came out in 1999. He did go on to become first a high school teacher. He taught like Japanese and science. Now he travels the world and is a consultant and gets paid to speak in front of large audiences about the tobacco industry and the harms of tobacco or how harmful tobacco is, et cetera, et cetera. This movie was not a box office hit. It didn't make a whole lot of money. But it was nominated for 7 Academy Awards.
That's a lot.
Best Picture lost to American Beauty. Best Director also lost to American Beauty.
I think this is a better movie than American Beauty.
Oh, I do too.
I'm not a fan of American Beauty at all.
I'm not either. Russel Crowe was nominated for Best Actor. That's the only acting nomination. He lost to Kevin Spacey. Again, American Beauty. Adapted Screenplay lost to your favorite movie, Cider House Rules, John Irving.
Oh my God.
Cinematography, once again, American Beauty won that. And the editing and sound both were won by a movie that I've never heard of called The Matrix. What's that movie?
Yeah, what is that movie?
What is that?
What is The Matrix?
So far, we've watched 2 Best Picture nominees from 1999, Insider, Cider House Rules. Obviously, the winner, as we said, was American Beauty that year. What are the final 2, you ask? Because back in those days, they only did 5, unlike now when they do like 20. The other 2 were Sixth Sense and The Green Mile.
I've not seen The Green Mile, but I've seen everything else.
Oh, well, you should... Well, Green Mile, we should watch for the show. It's good.
We should, because it's based off of Stephen King. We should do a Stephen King thing.
Yeah, we could do that.
Be cool with The Green Mile.
We could do that. But you've seen all the other 4.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen The Sixth Sense. I guess the ending before I even saw that movie. Yeah. We saw Cider House Rules. We saw The Insider. And then I've seen American Beauty a handful of times.
We're not watching American Beauty for this show.
Yeah,
sorry.
That movie is overrated in my opinion.
Charlie.
Sorry, Charlie. You go dance with that bag somewhere else. We don't care about you.
Before we do the viewer question, this was 96% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. 90% audience score. Both Roger Ebert and Leonard Maltin gave it 3.5 stars.
It's crazy with such a high audience score that it didn't do that well.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if like
Nobody saw it.
the P&L behind it wasn't that high or something.
Everybody
like
was
that.
too busy watching Sixth Sense and American Beauty.
Yeah, I mean,
that year.
Sixth Sense was like a phenomenon.
Yeah,
Huge.
huge.
That's what made M. Night Shyamalan.
Well, and The Matrix, even though it didn't get nominated for as
true.
many Academy Awards, I think everybody saw The Matrix that year too.
They're all spending their monies on that stuff.
Multiple times.
All right. That was The Insider. It's a really good movie. Check it out if you haven't. Watch it again if you have. Maybe you feel the same way we did. Maybe you feel different. All right. So for our viewers' question this week, we wanted to choose one or two questions that kind of on topic. And we kind of got some questions about what are our favorite movies that some of these actors are in. So what's our favorite Al Pacino movie or performance? So I'm going to basically say what is probably comes to everyone's mind, and then Dog Day Afternoon. Again, this is the movie I watched right around when I watched Alien. So it was one of those movies that was on my blind spot that I watched way too late but heard good things about, and I think Dog Day Afternoon is an awesome movie.
Yeah.
And I think he does a great performance in there. And so definitely want to call that one out.
I think I agree with you. I think Dog Day Afternoon, and again, you still need to watch the Godfather movies.
Yep.
I have seen the Godfather movies, but it has been a long time, so they're not really fresh on my mind. But I've seen Dog Day Afternoon, just like Serpico. I've seen Dog Day Afternoon multiple times. I think that's a great movie. But instead of picking that one, I will go with Al Pacino. And this isn't his best movie by any stretch. But
Son of a Woman.
No, not Son of a Woman. I will go with an Al Pacino movie that Brian De Palma directed. Can you guess what it is?
A Brian De Palma movie. Is it the one I don't like? The one that takes place in Chicago? Is he in that movie?
Takes place in Chicago.
The Sean Connery one. The Untouchables.
He's not in Untouchables.
No, I can't guess.
Okay, well, maybe many of you out there are saying
typing
Al
angrily.
Al Pacino movie directed by Brian De Palma. He must be talking about Scarface. And no, I'm not talking about Scarface
I hate
because I
Scarface.
don't like Scarface.
Yeah, I think
don't like it
Scarface
either.
is a terrible movie.
It's another movie that he did with Brian De Palma, and honestly, his acting in it is kind of funny, maybe unintentionally so. But it's just, to me, this is a fun movie. It's Carlito's Way. He plays Carlito.
I'm trying to remember if I've seen Carlito's Way. I don't know.
Well, if you haven't, of course you're not a big De Palma guy, but I love Carlito's Way. I think it's really, really a fun movie. It's good stuff. Good stuff.
And I wanted to call out, The Irishman that came out not too long ago was a great movie, great performance by him, but even better performance by Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci, I think, was standout.
Joe Pesci was great
in that movie, but had Bobby De Niro. Great movie, and also, we talked about in this episode, Heat.
Yeah.
I mean, Heat is
Gotta mention Heat.
Great. Probably the movie you think of when you think of Michael Mann, for sure.
Yeah. And then we want to talk about the favorite or best Russel Crowe.
Yes.
You want to touch on that one? So,
again, I got a couple listed here. Do you have one or do you have multiple?
Quick of the Dead's great.
I love Quick and the Dead. I really, that's probably my favorite Sam Raimi movie, I think.
Yeah.
I really like that a lot. Yeah.
But we've already done this movie on the show. I think I'm going to go with his performances. Not Virtuosity, his performances. Although he's great in Virtuosity, he hams it up, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful. But I'm going to go with his performance as Bud White in L.A. Confidential, which I adore that movie. I mean, again, he did some really great stuff, Gladiator and Beautiful Mind and Cinderella Man and on and on and on.
I've never seen Cinderella
But I
Man.
really, really dig L.A. Confidential a great deal. So that's probably my favorite Russell Crowe movie. And in my opinion, probably the best movie that he's in.
I think 3:10 to Yuma is probably my favorite Russell Crowe movie.
I need to see that.
As the same director who did Logan, I'm thinking of his name right now. He did Ford
James
versus
Mangold.
Ferrari. Yeah, James Mangold did Ford versus Ferrari. Ford versus Ferrari. Supposedly doing the fourth Indiana Jones movie. We'll see how that turns out. I think he's still on board with that. He might not be, actually. And I also think, Nice Guys is a great overall movie.
I agree with that.
Written and directed by Shane Black, who's done a lot of these kind of buddy cop movies. Started the genre of buddy cop movies with Lethal Weapon back in the late 80s. So, great movies.
Yep, I agree. Nice Guys is awesome.
All right, guys. Well, that's everything you wanted to know about Insider and everything you wanted to know about our favorite Al Pacino and Russell Crowe movies. If we left one out, if you like Scarface, leave us a comment below or shoot us an email at realshame at gmail.com. If you leave us a comment below, we'll tell you why you're wrong in regards to Scarface. Just kidding, guys. We post on social media at Real Shame on Instagram. And stay tuned next time as we pull another movie and cross it off our list of shame. And we'll see you next time, guys. Thank you. Goodbye.